Rich, now on the show is the starting quarterback for my Penn State Nittany Lions, number 14 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, Christian Hackenberg.
How are you, Christian?
I'm good. How are you guys?
How'd you like that introduction? Was that good?
Yeah, it was perfect.
Was it really? Because I found it lacking a little bit, Christian. You want to hear how a Michigan man does it? Do you want to hear how a Michigan man does it?
I don't know about that.
Well, I gave you the option, and I stepped right in it. Thanks for calling into the show. I appreciate it. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you bet. I appreciate you coming on. So you've started for Penn State since being a true freshman, and how you came into the school is clearly of interest to me because of what was happening at the school and you having so many options for you, staying put and taking a commitment and standing by it. Can you walk me through the process, what you were thinking about at the time, Christian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. So I kind of had a great support system at home with my parents and my family and my high school football coach. He had been doing it for a really long time and had a lot of really good players before me. So having those guys around me was awesome. They were very adamant that when I chose to go to a school that I stuck through that unless something really, really ridiculous happened. And for me, that meant a lot because the way I was raised, you stick to your word, and you really make sure that if you're going to make a decision, it's the best thing for you. And, something really wacky has to happen for it not to be. So, I'm sure you're probably going to ask, the sanctions and whatnot dropping and all that stuff. So when that happened, it was going into my senior year. It was the summer of that. So, I kind of went back home and relied on those people. We kind of redid the whole process all over again, if that makes sense, internally, in terms of, what were the pros, what were the cons, why did I commit there in the first place? Was there any big difference in that? And at the end of the day, push came to shove, nothing really changed for me in terms of why I wanted to go to school there. I wanted to get a great education. I wanted to play for a top-tier program, which in my opinion, Penn State still is. A lot of tradition there, a lot of great players. I had a great system for me in terms of my skill set and with what Coach O'Brien had brought to the table. I felt that could develop me on the field. And then, the big thing my high school coach always said is, if you got hurt the first day of practice and could never play again, would you be happy going to school there? And for me, the answer was yes. And, that's kind of how it all went down.
And how much did the current coach of the Houston Texans, then the coach of Penn State, Bill O'Brien, weigh in your decision to stick?
I think he played a pretty big role. But again, I think that deciding factor is if I got hurt and could never play again, would I be happy going to school there? And the answer was yes for me. So I think that was the ultimate decision because, in the back of your mind, having two parents who both played collegiate athletics, family that coached, and, I grew up around the game and grew up around that type of atmosphere and being in a family with people who coached, high school, that I understand that can change. And, it did. And, I'm happy that I chose Penn State because it made it a lot easier for me throughout all those different transitions that happened later on in my career.
Christian Hackenberg, Penn State quarterback, at @CHackenberg1 on Twitter, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So clearly you've demonstrated you've had your head screwed on properly for quite some time. That said, you're entering a season that many people believe could be your last there at Penn State. There's still lots of football to be played, and the word Heisman hopeful is being thrown around as well. How do you handle that sort of hype, Christian?
I just try and get lost in the process, I guess, is the best way to put it. We have a great team here, a great coach who really kind of lays out everything for us. And for me, it's, really just taking it one day at a time, making sure I'm being the best player, the best teammate, the best leader, whatever they're asking of me, making sure that I do it the best of my ability that day. So that's really how I handle all that stuff. I don't pay too much attention. I just try and be, again, the best player for Penn State, help us win as many football games as we can, and, you know, be the best teammate I can be, a guy in the locker room that everyone can trust, can lean on, and know that each and every day I'm going to bring it, practice, walk through, whatever it is, make sure I bring the best intensity, the best focus, being as sharp as I can possibly be, as consistently as I can be that. And that's really all I try to focus on. Control what I have control over, I guess.
If I told you I am hearing that Peyton Manning said you were the best quarterback of his passing camp that he saw, how would you respond to that, Christian?
That's an honor. It was an honor to be able to even be invited down to that and, you know, have that type of experience, to be around that type of success at the position that, you know, we all played, being around Peyton and Eli, and seeing how they work, and also being able to kind of get to know them as people and the things that they do to separate themselves. You know, I'd just say it was a huge honor, and I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to even go down there.
Because I'm hearing that. That's the truth. That's what I'm hearing. And I'm wondering, what did you pick up there? Anything?
You know, I really kind of went down there with a plan of something that I've been doing now for a couple years, is just trying to really narrow down my preparation week, if that makes sense. So how I break down my film and how I watch it and what days I watch it, trying to align it with practices and what we do that practice, what we highlight. So I really went down there with that in my mind as like my main goal, is trying to pick from Peyton and Eli what they do per week to kind of really feel that they're as prepared as they can heading into each game. And of course it's a little bit different with them because that's all they do. So that's their job. You know, we're going to school, so I've been trying to kind of develop a plan for that each week, and just tweak it, just try and take the things that those guys do. If it works with what I like to do, implement it. If not, try and find out something that does work. So I think that's one of the things, is learning from those type of guys and being able to pick what works for them and match that up with what works with you.
All right, I'm handing the show off for a moment to my Penn State producer and cohort, Chris Law. You have the floor with your quarterback.
Yeah, we're going to keep it lighthearted here. You know, your freshman year, you had Allen Robinson out there at wideout, 97 receptions, bunch of touchdowns. Last year, Deshaun Hamilton emerged. He caught 82 passes from you. And here's what Deshaun Hamilton had to say about the man that led him to those 82 catches.
Off the field, I say he's actually like a dork. He's not like, he comes in, seems calm, cool, and collected, and things like that. But like sometimes some of his jokes aren't really funny. But I try and laugh at him just to make it feel good, things like that. People think, oh, Christian Hackenberg, starting quarterback, he has to be the coolest guy on earth. But really, you know, he's kind of corny to me. But that's why I love him. He's funny.
Now, obviously, you guys have a good relationship for him to say something like that. But when he says that, do you pull him aside and you say, hey, Deshaun, you know, those numbers may go down a little. I have some other options out there, pal.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I've been kind of on his back about that the past, 2 weeks, every time we got in the huddle. And I think he's kind of getting tired of it. But, yeah, I think it was just Deshaun kind of being Deshaun, if that makes sense. You know, we're really tight. One of my best friends. So you know, I'll let that slide, but, you know, we'll see what he can do this year.
Listen, Christian, being called a dork, that's not a problem. Let's be honest. That's not a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely not a problem.
No. I'll be honest. I was called that back in high school and other things like that. And look at me now. I've got a show that I hand off to a Penn State guy for just one question before taking the show back. Look at me now, Christian.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
You know what I mean? November 21st is the one day of the year I will not be rooting for you. Okay? Is that all right? That is the day.
Good.
That is the day the Wolverines come into your house. Other than that, I wish you only the best of luck, and I'm sure I will be seeing you on an NFL Network set in a future February or two in Indianapolis. So I look forward to that too.
Thanks, sir.
You bet.
I appreciate it.
You got it. You take care, Christian. That's Christian Hackenberg.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.